Leviticus stands as a pivotal book within the Torah, the foundational 5 books of the Hebrew Bible. It serves as a profound exploration of holiness and the intricate relationship between God and the nation of Israel. This sacred text outlines the divine expectations for a people called to live in covenant with their Creator. The narrative of Leviticus begins with God's direct address to Moses, spoken from within the newly consecrated tabernacle. This sacred space, the dwelling place of God among His people, becomes the setting for profound divine instruction. Here, God lays out the principles and practices necessary for Israel's sanctification. These instructions are not merely ceremonial, they are foundational. They establish the framework for how a holy God can dwell among an unholy people. Leviticus thus sets the stage for a life defined by purity, reverence, and a deep understanding of divine presence. It is a manual for living in sacred relationship. At the very core of Leviticus lies a detailed and intricate system of offerings. These instructions delineate 5 distinct types of sacrifices, each serving a unique purpose in the Israelites' approach to God. These rituals were central to their worship and their understanding of atonement. The burnt offering symbolized complete devotion and surrender to God. It was entirely consumed by fire, representing the worshipper's total dedication and commitment. This offering underscored the principle of giving one's whole self to the divine. The grain offering, often presented with the burnt offering, expressed gratitude and thanksgiving. It was a recognition of God's provision and bounty, offered from the fruits of the land. This act acknowledged divine sustenance and blessing. The fellowship offering, also known as the peace offering, was unique in that a portion was shared between the worshipper, the priests, and God. It symbolized a shared meal, representing peace, communion, and reconciliation with the divine. This offering fostered a sense of unity. The sin offering was specifically for atonement for unintentional sins committed against God's commands. It provided a means for individuals and the community to seek forgiveness and restore their relationship with the divine. This sacrifice addressed moral failings. Finally, the guilt offering, or reparation offering, addressed specific instances where a wrong had been committed, often involving restitution. It required not only atonement but also compensation for damages or losses incurred. This offering emphasized accountability and restoration. Collectively, these offerings provided the Israelites with a tangible means to approach God. They allowed for the acknowledgement of sin, the expression of gratitude, and the seeking of reconciliation. This system was vital for maintaining the covenant relationship. Leviticus meticulously details the consecration of Aaron and his sons as the first priests of Israel. This elaborate ritual underscored the sacredness of their office and their unique role as mediators between God and the people. Their appointment was a divine mandate. The book places immense emphasis on the importance of ritual purity and unwavering obedience for these priests. Their proximity to the holy tabernacle and their duties demanded an exceptionally high standard of conduct. Any deviation could have severe consequences. A stark and tragic account within Leviticus is that of Nadab and Abihu, 2 of Aaron's sons. They offered strange fire before the Lord, an act not commanded by God. Their immediate demise served as a terrifying demonstration of divine judgment. This incident serves as a profound and stark reminder of the severe consequences for disregarding God's explicit commands. It highlights the absolute necessity of adhering to divine instructions, especially in matters of worship. Their fate was a powerful lesson. The tragedy of Nadab and Abihu underscores the immense gravity of approaching a holy God. It teaches that divine holiness demands reverence, precision, and strict adherence to His prescribed methods of worship. There is no room for human innovation in sacred rites. This event solidified the understanding that the priesthood was not merely a position of honor but one of immense responsibility. It reinforced the necessity of meticulous obedience to God's established protocols for all who served in His presence. Leviticus outlines an extensive body of laws concerning ritual purity and impurity. These regulations touched every aspect of daily life, distinguishing between what was clean and unclean in the eyes of God. They shaped the Israelites' interactions with their world. These regulations encompassed dietary restrictions, specifying which animals were clean and permissible for consumption. They also included detailed laws regarding skin diseases, bodily discharges, and contact with dead bodies. These rules permeated their existence. The overarching purpose of these regulations was to set the Israelites apart as a unique and holy people. By adhering to these distinctions, they were constantly reminded of their covenant relationship with God and their call to reflect His holiness. Purity was a way of life. Central to the laws of purity and atonement is the Day of Atonement, Yom Kippur, described as the most solemn day of the year. On this day, the entire nation's sins were addressed through a singular, profound ritual. It was a day of national cleansing. On the Day of Atonement, the high priest, and only he, entered the most holy place within the tabernacle. He performed specific rituals to atone for the sins of himself, his household, and the entire nation. This was the pinnacle of the annual sacrificial cycle. A crucial part of this day was the scapegoat ritual. One goat was sacrificed for the Lord, while another, the scapegoat, had the nation's sins symbolically laid upon it. This goat was then led into the wilderness, carrying away the sins for cleansing and forgiveness. The call to holiness in Leviticus extends far beyond ritual and ceremony. It deeply permeates the realm of ethics and social justice. God's holiness was to be reflected not only in worship but also in the daily interactions of His people. Righteousness was holistic. The laws in Leviticus emphasize honesty, fairness, and compassion in all dealings. They prohibit cheating, stealing, and bearing false witness, promoting integrity within the community. Justice was to be administered without partiality. Significantly, Leviticus includes numerous provisions for the poor and vulnerable members of society. Farmers were commanded to leave gleanings in their fields for the needy, and interest on loans to fellow Israelites was forbidden. Care for the marginalized was paramount. A crowning example of social justice in Leviticus is the institution of the Year of Jubilee. Every 50 years, debts were forgiven, ancestral land was returned to its original families, and Israelite slaves were set free. This radical system prevented perpetual poverty. The Year of Jubilee reflected God's profound desire for justice, equity, and renewal within His covenant community. It ensured that economic disparities did not become permanent and that all had a chance at a fresh start. It was a testament to divine compassion. These ethical and social laws demonstrated that true holiness involved living righteously towards one's neighbor, mirroring God's own character. They provided a blueprint for a just and compassionate society, rooted in divine principles. Leviticus concludes with powerful promises of blessings for obedience and stern warnings for disobedience. It reiterates that the well-being and prosperity of the nation were directly tied to their faithfulness to God's commands. Consequences were clearly laid out. Ultimately, Leviticus presents a comprehensive vision of a people striving to live in accordance with God's holiness. It is a detailed guide for how an imperfect people can maintain a relationship with a perfect God. Holiness was their ultimate calling. The book serves as a blueprint for a life of worship, obedience, and love, both towards God and towards one's neighbor. It establishes the foundational principles for a society consecrated to the divine. Its teachings are timeless in their moral implications. Crucially, Leviticus foreshadows the coming of Jesus Christ. The elaborate sacrificial system points to Him as the ultimate sacrifice, the Lamb of God who takes away the sin of the world. His perfect offering fulfills all the requirements of the law. Furthermore, the role of the high priest in Leviticus, entering the most holy place to atone for sins, foreshadows Christ as our perfect high priest. He intercedes for us, having entered the heavenly sanctuary once for all. Leviticus thus lays the groundwork for understanding the new covenant.